Thank you for joining us. Today we want to discuss the outcome of a very thorough and intensive evaluation of the resources and priorities for our athletic department over the coming 5 years. Personally, and as president, I want to make all things possible for all parts of UAB. I love UAB through and through. I'm a Birmingham native and a UAB undergraduate alumnus. I started here as a freshman at 18 years old, 42 years ago. As part of my responsibilities as the leader of UAB, I must work with our leadership teams to use the resources available for the greatest impact on our multifaceted mission as we serve the citizens of Alabama, the nation, and around the world. Our mission pillars are vitally important: education, world-class and socially responsible; research, the discovery and dissemination of new knowledge with the goal of curing cancer and other important diseases and unlocking technology for the greater benefit of mankind; outstanding patient care for our patients and our families; community service locally, statewide, nationally, and globally; and economic development to create prosperity and a better quality of life for our community, state, and nation. We must, as an institution, have a well-thought-out strategic plan to define our priorities and greatest opportunities and to guide the allocation of our resources optimally to support our mission. We are no ordinary organization. We have a huge role to play in the future of our community, our state, and our leaders and I take this responsibility very seriously and with a strong dose of humility. I can promise you that every important decision that we make is done so with the best knowledge available, considered by our leaders together. We will make no decisions without being sure that they are in the interest of the greater good of all and our mission. And they will always be driven by objectivity, integrity, and the consideration of the values and principles that we hold dear. The current athletic strategic plan has been approached in the same manner as in all other parts of the university. Over the last 18-plus months, we have been developing a university-wide strategic plan across every unit within the institution. We went about our strategic plan for athletics in the same as we've done for our academic and other units. We sought broad input, led by athletics and by our development, external relations, and alumni teams. We engaged a professional consulting organization, Car Sports Consulting, highly regarded in collegiate athletics. We first did a self-assessment. We asked to evaluate our competitiveness and the financial investments that we were making for each of our sports. We did benchmarking versus Conference USA and using NCAA data. We asked them to assess from our coaches and athletic staff what investments would we need to make over the next 5 years to field teams that would be competitive in Conference USA. And we asked them to consider 1 or 2 areas that we could invest incrementally in and have national prominence and perhaps one day strive for a national championship. We asked Car Consulting to put together financial plans around this goal of developing this level of competitiveness in our academic programs. And when we received the first financial analyses back, it was clear that there was a big delta between where we are and what we would need to achieve this. So Richard Margison, our then Vice President for Finance and Administration, and Brian Mackin, our Athletic Director, worked with Carr Sports to look at a number of options for our athletic programs. And we asked them to share with us the options, and we as a leadership team together would choose the best path forward for our athletic programs over the next 5 years. These are the principles that we stayed focused on. We wanted our teams to be able to strive for excellence and aim for championship level of play and competitiveness. We wanted to be sure, first and foremost, that we continue to emphasize character, good values, discipline, teamwork, and good sportsmanship at all times. We continue to place the highest value on our student athletes being successful academically and graduating with an outstanding education that will enable them to be successful and socially responsible throughout their lives and to make a difference. We wanted to continue to provide the opportunity to learn important life lessons that athletics can be so valuable for, to help our young men and women learn and grow and develop character and lifelong habits that will make them great citizens. We have other student activities that provide similar opportunities. Student Government Association, academic societies, extracurricular activities, social responsibilities, community engagement. The principles and plan underlying the athletic strategic plan is really aimed at helping our teams to be well positioned as possible for being competitive in Conference USA and hopefully nationally. We know that we must have a plan that allocates our resources for the greatest opportunities for our teams. We must manage within financial boundaries and be responsible fiscally. And we need to work with our community and alumni to work together to support our athletic programs. We know we have to prioritize in order to be successful. This has been an eye-opening and a challenging experience. And the challenges financially to try and achieve these goals was more significant than we expected. We have made the decision that the 2014-15 academic year will be our final year of competition in football, rifle, and bowling. This has been an agonizing decision because of the people involved, the young people. And we've just come from meeting with our coaches and students and sharing this information with them. As you might imagine, a great deal of passion and emotion was exhibited and felt by us as well as them. But once we saw the financial realities that face us and the environment becoming more and more competitive in Division I FBS football, and looked at the opportunities for our other sports teams, we knew that we had to make some difficult but clearly necessary decisions. Before Alan Bolton, our Vice President for Financial Affairs and Administration, shares with you the financial data, I'd like to mention some important facts. We have shared this information personally with our coaches and players. And we want them to know and told them face to face that this in no way reflects negatively on them. They have performed and executed with admiration, and they have had our full support throughout this year. We are very proud of the way they have acquitted themselves and what they've accomplished and contributed. We told them, and we want everyone to know, that we will honor all of our coaches' contracts we'll honor our student athlete scholarships, and they will be able to stay here and receive their degree under scholarship and with the mentoring in place that they have appreciated already. And we will do everything possible to help each one of them make this transition as well as possible. According to NCAA bylaws, our athletes who choose to transfer in order to compete will be immediately eligible without sitting out 1 year, since we are eliminating these programs. Our current goal is to remain in Conference USA, and we are in active discussions with conference leadership about all the contributions we believe that we can make, but having FBS football is one of the bylaws, which we know, but we have appealed to them to listen to our plan, and we believe that it will be compelling. This decision, as I mentioned, has been driven significantly by financial realities. I want you to know that we take this personally, very deeply, and as others are disappointed that we will transition away from these athletic programs, so are we. I'd like to ask Alan Bolton to come and share with you the details of our plan. Alan?
Thank you, Dr. Watts, and good afternoon, everybody. I assumed the role of Vice President on October 1st of this year and have spent most of the past 2 months reviewing athletic department financials and the assumptions and analyses that Carr Sports were using in the report that they have been preparing for UAB. Currently, UAB has the largest athletics budget in the history of our institution, and the 5th highest operating budget in Conference USA. Our budget for this fiscal year is approximately $30 million, and of that $30 million, UAB subsidizes $20 million of it, or 2/3 of the budget. Under the plan that Dr. Watts is outlining, we will continue to support athletics overall at the $20 million level. That amounts to an institutional investment of at least $100 million over the next 5 years. According again to the expert analysis by Carr Sports, we would have to substantially increase our operating budget and our capital investments in facilities to support an athletic department that fields a consistently competitive Conference USA football team. The difference between our future athletic department with and without football is an additional $49 million investment over the next 5 years. That would be on top of the $100 million that UAB is prepared to invest in athletics over those 5 years. That $49 million is a combination of operating budget and capital projects. From an operating budget standpoint, the difference between the scenario where we maintain a competitive Conference USA football program or eliminate it is more than $27 million over those 5 years. That, of course, does not include the needed capital investments of about $22 million in football facilities alone. Those projects would include a field house, an indoor practice facility, a turf field, but it would not include an on-campus stadium for football. So our options going forward, as we looked at the analysis with football or without football, rifle, and bowling. As Dr. Watts mentioned, after a lot of discussion, deliberation, we came to the conclusion that the only financially viable option is the scenario without football, rifle, and bowling. So before I turn the podium back over to Dr. Watts to conclude our prepared remarks, I want to talk about at least one of the things that has been out in the media, and that is it has been suggested that philanthropic support might keep football alive at UAB. The fact is, we've looked at that carefully. We've looked at our past success with philanthropy or private giving, and we've looked at what we believe is the capacity for private giving going forward. To put this in perspective, philanthropic support or private gifts for UAB athletics was approximately $2 million last fiscal year. In fact, it's been right around $2 million for each of the past many years. Interestingly, though, at least 20% of that figure is from UAB resources. So that's UAB is contributing philanthropically through our health system and other entities on top of the $20 million in institutional support that we provide. So after looking at all that, at our track record, it was our consideration that it is unrealistic that enough private support could be generated to sustain a consistently competitive football program. So with that, I'll turn it back to Dr. Watts.
When we began this process, the goal was to clearly establish the kind of financial commitment and support that would be required to sustain competitiveness in our athletic programs, including football. With the changing NCAA landscape, we expected there to be a need for further support and investment. But I can say that we were indeed shocked to see how much more it would take. The more we analyzed it, unfortunately, the clearer the decision became. This is one of the hardest decisions that we've had to make because of the people involved, our student athletes, our coaches, our alumni, our supporters. And we're going to continue to support athletics, as Alan outlined, to the tune of $100 million over the next 5 years of institutional resources. And it's clearly unrealistic for us to be able to achieve the gap in funding. We know that our players, we just experienced it, and our coaches, and our students, and our fans are disappointed. As a native of Birmingham, a UAB graduate, and a supporter of student athletics, I'm one of those saddened by the necessity of this decision as well. But my responsibilities leading the largest employer in the state of Alabama, with so many people counting on UAB, I have to be willing to make challenging decisions. And because I love this university and I love this city and state as much as I do, I'm willing to accept the responsibility that comes with my position of leadership, and I know that this is the best decision for UAB in our future, as difficult as it is.